adequately, if you're not, having the right nutrition, if you don't do the right disciplines around whatever they are, meditation or physical exercise, or, if you don't take care of your physical vessel, then how good are you going to be? How much can you amplify your energy, your productivity? How well can you lead others? If you can't lead yourself, how
Yep.
well can you lead others? So you have to start with that. And if people see you as someone who's, not emotionally healthy, they're not going to follow.
Welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast, where we bring to you the most successful, happy, fulfilled gentlemen from around the world who have been able to conquer themselves, their life, their marriage, and their businesses. You will be learning from four-dimensional gentlemen who have cracked the code to the science of having it all. The question is, how can married entrepreneurs with kids become gentlemen, achieve true freedom, and build a successful, happy, and fulfilled life, marriage, and business? This show will give you the answer for that. My name is Alex Ramirez, and I'm your host, and you're welcome to the Gentleman Success, Happiness, Fulfillment Talk podcast. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. Today, as always, I have an incredible guest that I'm very excited to talk to, learn from, and connect with. And I just want to ask you for a small favor today. I want to ask you that if you get something out of this interview, if you get some type of value, some type of new skill and insight or revelation or the inspiration to go out and take action, I want to ask you to please share this episode with 10 people who you think might need it. Share it on social media, put the link on your Facebook profile, send it through message, through text. Help us share this message with 10 people, since this is how we grow. This is how we share our message, and this is how we're able to motivate, inspire, and bless other people out there to change their lives, have success, happiness, and fulfillment, and achieve true freedom. So today I have Jonathan Goldhill. He's a masterful business coach and personal strategist, specializing in guiding next generation leaders of family businesses to scale up their business as they take control over the leadership and ownership of the family business. Jonathan left New York for California at the age of 20 after his family large private held men's apparel manufacturing company started by his grandfather, sold to a conglomerate in the third generation of family owners. Within 10 years, Jonathan had established himself as the go-to expert for entrepreneurs looking to find their version of freedom. Today, Jonathan brings 30 years of experience to his clients, advising, coaching, consulting, training, and guiding entrepreneurs and family businesses. So I'm very excited to talk to this gentleman. And Jonathan, thank you very much for being here and making some time. I know you got a lot of going on, and you are welcome, man.
Thank you. You are a modern gentleman, Alex. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Thank you. I'm working hard to, walk the talk. So thanks.
Well,
The first thing that I do with my guests is I tell them to walk us through their entrepreneurial journey in 75 seconds or less.
Okay. Let's see. All right, I'm going to start with going to business school in 1989, getting my MBA at USC. I went back to business school after having a failed art and clothing company. I learned a lot. I learned a lot from that failure, and I learned I need to go back and really learn how to do entrepreneurship right. I left business school, spent the next 10 years building an organization that provided business consulting, training, entrepreneurial training, and business financing to small businesses in the San Fernando Valley in Los Angeles, California. And we built that agency from 3 people to 35, almost 40 people, from nothing in assets to 10 million in assets, and from $100,000 annual operating budget to close to $4 million. We were funded by the city, state, county, and federal government. After 10 years of being there, I decided to leave that organization and go on my own. I've been pretty much a lifestyle entrepreneur ever since. It's been 22 years now. And what I do is consult, coach, advise, train, and mentor millennials who are mostly next generation leaders in typically family businesses, but typically they're construction and service related businesses.
Okay. So what was that got you into, wanting to target that, niche, right? You can say,
Yeah.
Of people who own family businesses. What was it that got you there?
So I was looking at my best clients and who I enjoyed working with most, and I thought,
Mhm.
a lot of coaches are coming into the coaching space. Um, why don't I focus on a space that I'm really passionate about? Yeah, I work with a ton of landscapers, and I have some roofers and some plumbers and some HVAC companies along the way. But who was I really passionate about? It was people who were in family businesses because I love the whole family unit. And so I ended up writing a book called Disruptive Successor, a guide to driving growth in your family business. And I focused on one of my more successful clients and some of my other family business clients. And it really took me into looking back on my whole family history. My family built a very large men's clothing business with almost 2,000 employees or over
Okay.
2,000 employees. And I
Nice.
thought, this is what I always was meant to do. I was meant to work with family businesses, helping them build more successful enterprises that they could scale up and then transfer to the next generation, which
Mm.
oftentimes doesn't happen very successfully. And it's oftentimes because the leaders or the next generation people aren't coached into becoming better leaders. They don't
Yeah.
have they don't have a playbook, and they don't have something that's better and different than what their parents left them with. So they end up kind of letting it fizzle and fall apart.
Yeah. So the company that your family built was sold by the third generation.
Yes, exactly.
Mm.
Well, it was sold by the first generation. It didn't make it past the third generation. There was no direct family members that wanted to take it over. So that failure maybe was due in part to, it's hard for me to say. My guess is that my grandfather and his brothers didn't spend enough time with their sons, mostly at the
Mm-hmm.
time, not daughters, because daughters didn't go into business back then. They didn't spend enough time getting the son interested in the business. And so
Yeah.
the sons probably looked at their fathers and said, I don't want this kind of a business. Like, you're never home, you're always traveling, you're always out having dinners and socializing with other people. I mean, this isn't the kind of life I want to have for my children. And so they went and became something different. They became teachers. They became, maybe a small business owner, but a lot of them went into teaching. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So in my obituary, I have this like little paragraph in which I say that I want to how well look, strong men create good times, right? Good times
Yep.
create weak men create bad times, and bad times create strong men create good times, and then it happens all over again. So in a paragraph of my obituary, I have that I'm living good times right now, created by a strong man, right? That was able to like redo his life. And I'm living good times right now, and I want to, instead of being a weak man, I want to be an even stronger, wiser, more evolved, more intelligent man who's able to create even better times and raise beautiful kids to be men and women, right, gentlemen and women, who are more stronger than ever, more intelligent than ever, wiser than ever, more evolved than ever, or men and women who change the world.
Hmm.
So like I
I like that.
intentionally
Well, I think
have
that's
it.
really powerful. And, it you probably don't know this, but it'll probably make perfect sense to you. They say in family businesses that it takes 3 generations to go from shirt sleeves to shirt sleeves, which
Yeah,
means that in the first generation, their shirt sleeves, they're rolling up their shirt sleeves. They're, let's just say working the farm or in the clothing business, they're out on the factory floor and they're doing the hard work. And then the next generation manages what those entrepreneurs had built. And by the time it comes to the third generation, they were so spoiled that they let the whole thing fall apart again. And then they're back to, fourth generation at shirt sleeves again. So, money doesn't stay sometimes, even though we think of like family money and like the Rockefellers and the Fords and the
yeah,
Carnegies, but I've never met a Rockefeller or a Ford or Carnegie. And I've met plenty of people who have money from their family, but eventually within a few generations, that money just gets
it's
completely
gone.
spent out. Exactly.
Yeah, I'm going to systemize, like like make a
Yeah.
manual of how
Yeah.
to raise modern gentlemen, how to
I,
like pass everything on, and
I think
yeah, I
I
don't know
think
how
that
I'm going to
that
do it.
yeah, but based on your earlier conversation, these 4 pillars that were taught to you as a child, I mean, you could make a living just focusing on those 4 pillars and communicating that over and over and over and over again. It's so powerful, right? To focus on physical freedom and emotional freedom and then financial freedom. And then I don't remember the fourth one, but
Sentimental freedom, yeah.
what was it?
Sentimental freedom, that's being a
Sentimental.
husband and a father,
Wow,
relationships. Yeah.
yeah, that's awesome. So it's beautiful. It's like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I mean, you first have to have your physical, like, and I talk about that in my book also, which is that, like, if you're not sleeping adequately, if you're not, having the right nutrition, if you don't do the right disciplines around whatever they are, meditation or physical exercise, or, if you don't take care of your physical vessel, then how good are you going to be? How much can you amplify your energy, your productivity? How well can you lead others? If you can't lead yourself, how
Yep.
well can you lead others? So you have to start with that. And if people see you as someone who's not emotionally healthy, they're not going to follow you either, because they're going to think you're crazy, basically. So emotional freedom is, and this is something that's difficult for some people to achieve. They're not wired that way. They don't have the biochemistry that can make them emotional healthy. But like a lot of these things can be learned. And so first thing they have to do is first know thyself. And like that's the basis of any coaching, as I'm sure you would agree. It's like first know yourself, know your strengths, your weaknesses, your limitations, and know what it is that you need to work on, what it is that you want to work on. So you can build your life intentionally from the ground up based on some framework. A lot of times people just don't have any framework, so they need
Hmm.
a framework to follow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Knowing yourself. Yeah. Like, so now, like you went a little bit into leadership, and I'm very excited to talk about this because I know that a lot of what you do has to revolves around leadership. And so this year, by the end of the year, I'm going to be building a 7-figure business
mhm.
at the age of 21. And,
Wow.
leadership is going to be playing a big role. So, yeah, I don't know if I should ask a question or, I
Yeah.
don't know, maybe just wait and for you to give me some insights.
Gotcha. Well, look, I think I'll start with the framework thing. If you're going to build a 7-figure business, and I speak from authority because one, I've built 7-figure businesses, two, like three of them, and the art and clothing business wasn't one of them, but a digital media company, an economic development consulting firm. Plus, I've been coaching, consulting, and training entrepreneurs on my own since 2000. So that's 22 years of business coaching and consulting. And most of my clients have been 6-figure businesses going to 7 figures. So I understand the space that they're in. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's so important for people who want to go from 6 to 7 or 7 to 8 figures to have a framework, an operating system, a playbook, will you? That's why I wrote the book, which is just a playbook for family businesses. On my shelf behind me, you'll see a couple of playbooks for entrepreneurial businesses, the EOS, scaling up as a playbook for middle market companies. I believe that the power of playbooks or frameworks, along with really useful tools, helps entrepreneurs to know where they're going, right? So, like a lot of times it would start with, okay, what's your vision? Let's get it onto one page. Let's get it in such a way that you can communicate it to other people so that people on your team that you've hired are aligned with that vision and they share that vision and they're excited about it. It gets them up in the morning. They're purposeful. They're proud of it. Let's make sure that the purpose is something that they're aligned with, and the values that we share, which I would, another word I would use would be like the behaviors, like what's our code of conduct around here? How do we do business with each other and with the world? And let's make sure that everyone is aligned, because you can have great strategy, you can have all the money in the world, but if you don't have a great team, and who can execute on the vision, then you're really useless as a
Yeah.
leader and as a visionary. So I think that great leaders, they tell stories, they transform people's minds and hearts from, here's where we are, here's where we're going. No, I've never been there before, but I'm a leader who listens. I'm a leader of compassion. I'm a leader of optimism. I'm a leader of confidence. And I want you, if you believe me, to walk this path with me. I am Alex Ramirez. I am just, whatever you want to say. I'm a man of God, or I'm a man of, I'm humble, I'm hungry, and I want to learn. And I want people who want to join in this journey with me to move this, whatever it is, modern gentleman, whatever the product or service is, like move it into the marketplace so that we can impact more lives. I mean, that's what I'm about. Are you with me? Raise your hand, join me if you're with me. Let's go. You know, and leaders get people to follow them. And it's really important. If you can't create followership, then you don't have leadership. And for you to be a leader, you have to get out of the weeds. You can't be like, micromanaging a lot of
Yeah.
stuff. You can't be also like a dictator or martyr or, any of these things that people are going to be like, I don't really like or trust this guy. I mean, you have to be someone that people think like, I love this guy. I would
Yeah.
go to bat for him. I would jump off whatever. If he said jump, I would ask how high. If he said run, I would say how fast. That's what leadership looks like. Leadership is really hard to define, Alex, right? I
Yeah.
mean, I say it's like beauty. It's hard to define it, but you know it when you see it. You can feel it. It's palpable. And so if you are able to excite people, then you will be able to get things done. It's difficult to build a 7-figure business as a company of one unless you have
Yeah.
some great technology and you scale it, or you license your, I don't know, you come up with a new razor blade, or you come up with some new thing that nobody else has, and you license the technology. You don't do anything. You collect a check. But most leaders of a 7-figure business probably have 10 helpers that are helping them, that are helping to build the business. And to get really good helpers, you got to have a clear vision, clear core purpose, clear core values. You've got to have priorities. You've got to have metrics. You got to hold people accountable. You got to get them excited about it. You got to care more about them, than maybe they care about themselves, or you have to care so much about them that they think, I'm going to follow this guy. He really believes in me. He cares about me. He's interested in what my vision, what my passion is. And for them, their vision and passion might be, level 4, sentimental, parenting, father, mother, spouse, all the things that you teach in your business could be things that maybe they can apply at home and be a
Yeah.
better parent and be, again, going on these 4 pillars. That 4th pillar might be the thing that makes them fall in love with you for life and follow you forever, because you've lifted them up out of their circumstances. And you can only do that because it was done, because you did it, and you were shown that way.
So, man, like, maybe if you ask leaders, how good of a leader are you? Probably a lot of them will say, well, I'm a very good leader, right?
Right.
But I feel like right now you just described, what I've been doing. And right now we talked about nature and nurture.
Right.
And I don't know if it's because I've read like a bunch of leadership books. I don't know if it's because of that, or because, I don't know, it just like being a leader comes to me. But I have a team of more than 10 people, and I feel like I'm a really good leader, man. Like,
I know you are a
show.
good leader. I can tell, because I think that I know that the framework I use is who's an ideal team player. And I could grab the book off my bookshelf from Pat Lencioni, who wrote the book, The Ideal Team Player. If you haven't read it, I recommend you pick up a copy of it. He describes the ideal team player as being humble, being hungry, and being smart. And that means like people smart, like they read people, they communicate well, right? They're connected. Humble is they don't answer the question, am I a good leader, and say, yes, hell yes, I'm a great leader. They would answer the question more like, gosh, I would hope that everyone thinks that I'm a great leader. I do believe that leadership is so important to getting people excited about what they're doing. I work on myself every day. I work on myself. I work on what I'm trying to lead. And I try and lead by example. I try and walk the walk, talk the talk. And you know what? I think that I'm building followership. So I guess maybe I'm a good leader. I haven't gotten too much negative feedback. Mostly it's been constructive. And I've been able to work on my weaknesses and improve. And I think people like me.
Hey, sorry for the interruption. Real quick, do you want to know how I've been using my podcast to build a multi-million-dollar network with over 100 7, 8, and 9-figure entrepreneurs, reach hundreds of my ideal clients with my message coaching service and podcast, get invited to speak on 4 stages in the last 2 months alone, throw my own events, and have over 100 successful entrepreneurs being willing to speak at my events, become a millionaire in 1 year, get mentored by multimillionaires, and achieve goals that I thought were going to take me 10 years to achieve in 1 year, and ultimately get unstuck and make quantum leaps of progress in my business and life with less than 1 hour of work just by being myself? If you answered yes to any of those, I just want to invite you to a free training showing you how I've been able to build a multi-million-dollar network that is helping me achieve bigger income goals faster with only 1 hour of speaking and just being myself. To be honest, I thought I was going to be a multi-millionaire, speak on stages, throw my own events, and live a successful, happy, and fulfilled life of growth and impact in 10 years from now. That seemed so far away, but my podcast has been able to help me do that in less than 6 months. I'm actually doing all of that this year at the age of 21 with my podcast. I'm reaching thousands of people with my message, my service, my podcast, my coaching. I've gotten booked to speak on 4 stages in the last 2 months. And on these stages, I'm going to be getting in front of hundreds of my ideal clients, making roughly around 15 to 30K plus per event. Not only that, I have a network of over 100 high-level, multi-million-dollar entrepreneurs who have all agreed to speak at my events. Getting clients is a problem of the past. I've gotten the opportunities to learn from billionaires, and I'm collapsing decades of time, and I'm literally achieving what I thought was going to take me 10 years to achieve in 1 year. All of this because I use podcasting as a networking tool, and I leveraged a rare concept called the cloak track. And I want the exact same thing for you. Just imagine where you could be in 1 year from now if you get this free training right now. That is why I'm inviting you to this training. On this short training, you're going to learn how a small group of purpose-driven entrepreneurs, authors, coaches, course creators, and speakers have combined podcasting with this rare concept called the cloak track to build a multi-million-dollar network, reach thousands of their ideal clients with their message, books, courses, coaching, make an extra $118,800, get booked on 10 stages, and build a successful network of entrepreneurs who speak on their stage, all of this in under 6 months. I'm going to walk you through the 4 steps to make this work. Step number 1, alignment. Getting clear on who you want to be, what you want to do, your goals, your purpose, and aligning all of this with building your podcast and your ideal podcast guest. Step number 2, leveraging the cloak track to find your ideal podcast guest and never running out of them. Step number 3, leveraging the cloak track to close an interview with anyone, no matter how rich, famous, or out of your league they may seem. And step number 4, the content machine. The content machine is the key to tapping into other people's audiences. And I'm going to show you all of those 4 steps. The link to access this free training is in the description of this video. Click on it and go watch this training right now so that you can learn how you can too build a multi-million-dollar network that helps you achieve bigger goals faster and with less effort. Note, this training is only available to 18 people, so act right now, and I hope you enjoy the rest of this episode. Bye-bye.
Because of that, but more importantly, I think people respect me. And that's what's really important as a leader, is getting them to respect me, even when I have to deliver difficult or upsetting or uncomfortable news that might be personal in nature about who they are, including maybe you don't fit here. So I think that leaders are humble, and I think I can see in you, you're humble. I can see that you're hungry, and I can see that you're smart. And so to me, you're an ideal team player. And you should hire only people who fit that ideal team player profile. And then you should continue to read leadership books and learn, because leaders are learners and readers.
Leaders are readers, right? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
Bernhard,
man,
leaders are readers.
My core values are, you mentioned the word respect, humility, and wisdom, right? Like intelligent, yeah, being intelligent is cool, but I seek wisdom, right? Respect, humility, and wisdom. And then you talked about walking the talk. Well, my next 3 core values are motivate, inspire, and bless. This is what I live for every single day. And motivate, like there's a lot of people who are in motivation. Like if you see someone walking down the street and they're jacked, right?
Right.
Like they're in motivation, you're going to be motivated. If you see someone, like driving down in a Ferrari, they're motivation, you're going to be motivated. But if they are like assholes and they're like, I'm rich, you're poor, I'm jacked, you're fat, right? They don't inspire anyone. They just motivate, but they don't inspire anyone. The way you inspire people is by coming from a place of love with respect, humility, and wisdom, right? So if you do that, if you're in motivation, if you walk the talk and you come from a place of love, respect, humility, and wisdom, you will inspire people and you will bless them and change their lives.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man.
Those are my core values.
That's good. And you know what? Like you're 21 years old. How freaking awesome is that? Like, you have so much wisdom and so much intentionality. There's so much power in your being. I can feel it right through the computer here, right? And so, and to think that you're 21, like, unless you became that asshole, which doesn't sound like you're on that path to becoming that person because of these core values, like,
Exactly.
you're going to be like a rock star when you're 27. 36, you're going to be a superstar. I mean, you're going to have built whatever you want to build, because the spoils in life go to those who either inherit it or those who earn it. And you are earning it, my friend. You built yourself from the ground floor up. So no father took you there, no family, no money, no, you know,
Yeah.
that's
Thanks,
powerful.
man.
Yeah.
So leadership, and I'm looking at your 7 P's for business success.
Mhm.
Purpose. First of all, purpose. Like, I started my career in insurance, and I don't know why, but so you know what, man? I don't think you find purpose. I think you choose purpose.
Right.
Right? You
I agree.
choose purpose and you commit to it, because I started my career in insurance, like about 3 years ago, and I wasn't selling insurance. I was helping people from the middle and the lower income. I'm Mexican, and I have a story, and my grandpa died, and he didn't leave us anything, right? So, I wasn't selling insurance. I was helping people from the middle and the lower income class in the United States
Yep.
to get out of a generational cycle of poverty and build wealth.
Yep.
Right. And that made me really driven and outperform everyone else, because I wasn't selling insurance.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I don't think you find purpose. I think you choose it and you commit to it.
Right.
And you go
Yep.
through the process. So purpose, right now,
And,
like, my
let me
purpose.
just back up for a second. I said you were 21 because I thought I heard you say that, but you can't be 21 because you're older and wiser than those years. So
Yeah. Thanks.
did I get that number wrong, or are
No,
you really?
yeah. I'm 21. Yeah.
Wow, mind blowing. Wow. Okay. Keep going.
Yeah. So yeah. So
That's a great purpose and if you're an insurance agent and you're selling that you recognize that purpose, because you're going to be a lot more successful than if you're out to try and sell products, because nobody wants to buy products. Nobody
exactly.
cares how much you know until they know how much you care. And so if your care is, hey, your story was really connected to that purpose, and that's transformative. And look, I mean, that alone you could have built, and maybe that's the area, but that could have been a 7-figure business for you, because you'd get people to follow you and they would be like, oh, you have to meet, Alex. He's got this incredible story about his grandpa and his family and what he was left with, and why he wants no one else ever to be left with those circumstances. And that's what we're about. Team Ramirez is about getting people out of like that cycle of poverty
and build wealth.
Yeah, and we do workshops, we do learning seminars, and we're not doing about insurance products. We're going to be talking about, like, I don't know, we might be talking about firewalking, we might be talking about life coaching. We're going to be talking about, like, how to transform yourself. We're going to be talking about meditation and exercise, and maybe, by the way, there'll be 5 or 10 minutes about an insurance thing, just because there'll be a sponsor and you're going to talk about why you need to have this. But this is about uplifting you, about changing who you are.
It's so important, because, like, when you talk to people don't remember what you talked about. People remember how you make them feel.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
Same thing with purpose. Like, purpose stays. Like, purpose is felt. Like, so, like, I've had like 115 podcasts up to this point in the last 6 months, and I've gotten like more than 12 people that have said that, getting on my podcast, that they've been on hundreds of podcasts, but getting on my podcast and hearing my story and talking to me has been like one of the best podcasts that they've been on. And yesterday, one of my podcast guests became my client, and he told me that he's been on dozens of other podcasts, in the process. Well, since he was on my podcast like 5 months ago, and he's been asked for referrals for like guests of podcasts, and he's always mentioned me, because even though he has been on a lot of podcasts and he's had a lot of podcast guests in his podcast, the only person that he remembers is me.
How beautiful is that?
Right? And it's because I think it's because of purpose. I don't think there's anything special about that.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, I'm just a vessel, man. I'm just making God's will. Right.
Right.
And all of the things that I think I want is like, I don't know, like they were just put there for some reason. So like I was selling insurance. I used that money to invest in myself, and I landed in this, and in like helping men create modern gentlemen. And I'm going to be creating a world movement helping men become modern gentlemen. Um, and so yeah, and you know, like
That's
I spent.
so cool. Because I just did a podcast. Um, I had a guest on. I was trying to remember, was I on his show or was he on my show? Because we just had an amazing conversation. This gentleman from the South, he's also a gentleman. You should interview him. He was on
Awesome.
my podcast, and he's building a movement of people who want to be legendary. And like,
Nice.
you know, he's written a whole book about being legendary. It's out in the other room. I'd hold it up otherwise. And it's a powerful life coaching book. And I started my podcast with, like, I wrote a business book about how to be excellent in business, but if I were to write a life coaching book, like, this would have been it, being legendary. You know,
Mm-hmm.
welcome Tommy Breedlove to the show. So, you know, I think it's right. You know, you're right. People want to be they want to be felt, they want to be heard, and it's not so much what you say, but it's how you connect with them. It's not the content as much sometimes as it is the intent and what they feel behind it. So true. Well said. Better said by you than me.
Thanks, man. Yeah, purpose, plan, product,
Yep.
people, priorities, processes, and performance. Right. I was looking at your 7 P's of business success, and I was like, oh, it makes sense. Right. First of all, purpose. You know, I've always had that, or at least
Mm-hmm.
chosen to have that. And
Mm-hmm.
then I have a plan, I have a product. The people that I have, you know, are very good, and I think I do a really good job leading them. Priorities. We have our priority set. We have very cool processes and systems, and you know, performance. Well, yeah, you know, I think we're good performers. And I was like this is a really good tool. So where can we go? Because like this helped me, and I instantly clicked with all of those 7 P's. So where can we go and get that, man?
So that book is available on Amazon.
All right.
And if you're not sure and you want to download a chapter, you can go onto my website, thegoldhillgroup.com, and you can find the book, Disruptive Successor. It'll take you to my other book website. You can download a chapter, you can watch a video with a little introduction, and you can get some of the free growth tools that I offer in the book. So that's
Awesome.
disruptivesuccessor.com.
And for the growth tool, some of them. So I end my interviews with 5 questions. But
Sure.
before I ask you those 5 questions, I just want to talk about. I wanted you to give me and the audience one insight, right? So, like on the growth tools, you talk about like how to find your core purpose, your core
Mm-hmm.
values,
Yep.
and the people evaluator.
Yep.
And you know, on the people evaluator, you talk about A performers, B performers, B, C performers, and C performers.
Yep.
You know, I've been learning some stuff about that on the Infinite Game book by what's his name? Infinite. Do you know who I'm talking about?
I
The
don't know
Infinite
the
Game.
book. No. Sounds familiar.
Simon Sinek.
Oh, Simon Sinek. Okay, The Infinite
Yeah.
Game. Sure.
So
Right.
I've read all of his stuff, and
Yeah.
you know,
Brilliant.
he has like a similar stuff like that you teach. So
Yep.
how do you evaluate people? Well, how do you evaluate whether they're A
Right.
performers, B performers, B, C performers, and C performers?
Yeah. So this matrix, this 2x2 that you're describing, A, B, B, C, you know, was developed basically by General Electric, or developed at GE during
Okay.
the period of time when Jack Welch was presiding over the largest increase in shareholder wealth. And it was developed by a father and son, I think Brad Smart, his son Jeff Smart. They were over at GE. They developed this thing called top grading. And they basically wanted to identify who were A players. And so they looked at two different things. They looked at productivity, like whatever that measure is, you know, I don't know, it's each person's got a different performance. It's, you know, it's outputs, it's units, it's time billed, it's dollars sold, whatever that measure is. And they looked also at culture fit, which would be like the core values. How well do they fit with the core values? And it's oftentimes I'll do it in a group, which is pretty intense and like confrontational, because we'll be evaluating people in the room and we'll say, you know, like, are they a core value fit? Do they fit with this core? You know, how humble are they?
That would be tense, right?
Right. That would be really intense. Exactly. Because you got to get really real with people, and you have to have a high level of trust and it can't be something that is going to make someone, cry or, be humiliated or, you can't, there's like a no asshole factor when you do that. And then
Mm-hmm.
you have to evaluate their productivity, and that should be absolutely as objective as possible based on the metrics or KPIs that they're accountable for and that they're being measured by. And so that's pretty much how I do it. Sometimes we just have, like, you would do it as a CEO and you would evaluate the people beneath you, and then those people would evaluate the people beneath them, and they would do it more in a vacuum without it being done by the leadership team of each other and of the people beneath them.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
yeah,
Well, yeah, and man, I already got that. Like all your the tools that you offer, and they're really awesome. So I would encourage
great.
for anyone to go and check them out.
Thank you.
Because that matrix, like, I read a book, and every time I read something, I actually implement it. Right. So I have a
That's great.
whiteboard with everything right here, and I'm always like looking at it and remembering back. So, and everything that, like, all the tools that you offer are exactly every that about leadership. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Good.
So
Awesome. I love my plan, the one-page plan tool also. Like, people should have a very simple business plan that they can articulate. That's like, where are we going to be in 3 years? Where we're going to be in 1 year? What do we have to get done in 90 days? What are the things that we're going to measure that are really
nice.
important? And what are my personal measures that I'm trying to, and on there, like, what's my purpose? What's the company's purpose? What's the company's core values? What's our marketing message or unique, something unique about our marketing that differentiates us.
Mm-hmm.
Good
Nice.
stuff. Yeah.
Well, we put the links for that so that people can go and grab that stuff. But yeah, my first question, man, is what advice would you give your 20-year-old self if you could?
Wow. Well, it's like, read everything you can, learn as much as you can, and don't think you know it all.
Mm-hmm.
There's a famous quote by Mark Twain, who said something to the effect of, when I was 14, I thought my father was like an ignorant idiot and, useless, POS. And it wasn't until I was 7 years later, when I was 21, I realized how much he had learned.
Mm,
So, you know, don't think you know it all. If you're 20 years old, you might be sort of guilty of being entitled or thinking you know it all, thinking you've got all the answers. It's a pretty common thing when you're 20. Like, be humble,
got it.
basically.
Thanks. Yeah. Um, I have my support system, like a group of people to make sure that they keep me grounded, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
good, so smart.
So the second question is mindset. So what is a mindset shift, Jonathan, that you have had that you can share that you think has contributed to your success?
Whoa. Um, So that's a really good one. So I think, when I first started my coaching business, which was 2004, so it's like 18 years ago, I had to do some mindset work. I was fairly confident in my selling, but I knew I needed to get better. But where I was kind of lacking was, I had never been a leader in my own business. I had always been the number two guy. And now all of a sudden I had to lead myself. And so I think I did a lot of work around what it was that I wanted, and I had to identify the leader within me rather than think it all was outside of me. There was a vision that I had. I just needed to find out what that it was. I needed to check into myself, and I need to give myself permission to be who I was rather than thinking it needed to look like something else.
Nice.
So that was a
Yeah, that's
mindset
great
shift.
insights. Yeah,
Yeah.
most people are trying to look for answers and solutions outside of them. But if they would take the time and the chance to, like, look inwardly, they would
Yep.
find everything that they're looking for.
Yep.
Mindset map. So, do you have any advice for people who may lack or may need some clarity in their life? Clarity on who they are, what they want, where they're going, their goals, all of this. Clarity.
Whoa, that's a really tough one and a really good one. And I don't think there's a one size fits all for everyone here. To some people, I think it might be like journal. to others. And maybe, by the way, these are not mutually exclusive. I think therapy is a great thing if you want to learn about yourself. I think that being in groups with peers, whether they be entrepreneurs or other types of people, learning how to work in groups to learn about yourself. I think that can give you a lot of clarity. I think write out what you think you want your life to look like. You can write you can write an obituary for yourself, what you want your life to look like, so that it's legendary at the end of your life. Write down some goals that you have for the next 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Keep a bucket list of things that you want to do, and keep working that and developing it. And most importantly, probably, hang around with associate with people, or surround yourself with people who are like-minded, who are also on that same growth path. They will help you get more clear, and ask them, and ask the people that you do business with, like, what do you think I do that's really great? Like, what do I do that's not so good, and what do I do that's really good?
Yeah.
That'll help get you clarity.
And it's, you mentioned writing it down a lot of times. So on one of my interviews, I got a really amazing insight by this gentleman. He told me, what if God is deaf? Like, he can't hear, right? And there's so many people, praying to him, to asking for stuff, but he can't hear. What if God can only see if you're working really hard, and, as he's watching you, like, moving around and working and doing all of these things, he's like, oh, I get it. I know what he's trying to do, so let me help him. Or what if, if you write your goals down, he can actually see them and read them. And he's like, okay, I know exactly what he wants. Let me, send him this lessons, or this things, this power up right here, like a video game. So what if God cannot hear? What if he's deaf? And the only way that you can, get him to help you is by writing things down, or taking a lot of action, or doing a vision board, or keeping a bucket list, or, all of this stuff, man.
Yeah. I think always judge people by their behavior, not by what they say. So, and one of the behaviors that seems to prove out positive for people achieving their goals is that you write them down.
Yeah.
Most people achieve maybe 60 to 70% of their written goals. And if you don't write them down at all, there you go. Do a vision board, or whatever you want to call it, or, even do some vision quests to get clear on this stuff. Make a collage of pictures from magazines of, either lifestyles or images.
I have a Wikipedia page, right? So
yeah,
when I build a legendary life,
yep,
and, in like a couple of decades from now, someone's going to look me up, and, like a Wikipedia page is going to appear. Like, I know exactly what I wanted it to say.
Wow. Alex, you're on the path, man. You are blazing a trail that less than 1% of all people will blaze. And, you will make other people's lives better, because they will follow you. And that's a tremendous responsibility. Yeah. And so that you will have to rise to that responsibility. You'll have to become a better person yourself.
Which is what life is all about, right?
Exactly.
So mindset map, motion. So, man, what is one habit that you have that you think has contributed to your success?
So I think that my dad died when I was 2 years old. He had a massive coronary, and he had his first massive coronary when I was 13 days before I was born. And so being physically fit has always been really important. I'm 64 years old today. I'm fit. I used to be able to ride 100 miles on my bike. I don't think that overdoing it is necessarily good. I think you can create a lot of injuries from that, but I think being physically fit helps you build your mindset. And so that's something I've always focused on. And it's not riding 100 miles anymore, because I don't get my ego stroke from that, but it's having my body be in good shape so that I can do yoga, I could swim, I could bike, I could play tennis, I could run, I could swim, I could jump, whatever. I mean, and I don't feel like a 64-year-old man. That's nice. What's really important. And there are days when and there have been times, even recently, sometimes emotional stuff can whack you down and can make you feel like, oh, my back is bad, or, there's stress, the responsibility, like you got to clear yourself. And that's not been an easy thing for me, but always having a focus on my health and my physical freedom, as you describe it, like that's paramount. If you don't have anything, like if you don't have your health, then it doesn't matter how much money you have,
Exactly.
or how much freedom you have.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
spirit
Yeah.
isn't free.
So
You know?
physical freedom and emotional freedom, which are the
Yeah.
first two freedoms, by the way, that
Yeah.
you should focus on, right?
Yeah. Which
We
is
can't.
spiritual freedom, by the way, right? Because
Yeah.
if you're emotionally free, then you have elevated yourself to a place where, spirit can come in and you can infuse other people with positive spirit as opposed to negative, right? Negative
Yeah.
emotions. So super important to manage all that stuff.
Spiritual freedom. That's what I've been diving deep into like the last couple of months. Actually, man, let me give you a recommendation. Do you know
Yeah.
who Peter Sage is? Peter Sage?
Peter Senge, is
Peter
that who it is?
Sage.
No, do not.
Sage.
Mm-mm.
Peter Sage. You should follow him on social media,
Okay.
watch some of his content. But last year, um, I had I have this big ass calendar. That's what it's called, big ass calendar. And
Right.
I track my emotions there. Like I color them. I don't know if you've ever seen like a little cone with like the emotions and like the vibrational frequencies, and they're
Yep.
colored. Have you
Mm-hmm.
seen that? Right. So
No,
I colored
but
my
I know what
emotions,
yeah, that's great.
like
I
my
can
days,
imagine.
right?
Right.
And last year, out of every 30 days of the month, like 28 days were spent in frustration, doubt, overwhelm, and fear, right?
Right.
So colors that were not blue, which is on fire, and, and,
Right.
and green, which is positive. And
Okay.
then I started working with Peter Sage. In January, I had like 20 days out of 30 that were, spent in frustration, fear, and doubt, and just negative. And then
Mm.
in February, I had like 15 days that were
Wow.
spent, like in any other color that wasn't green or blue. And then in January, February, in March, and April, I had like maybe 5 days, right?
Mm.
And then this past month, I had like 4 snippets of,
That's so
of
great.
purple here and there,
That's so
right?
fantastic. Yeah.
And it's because I've been diving deep into my spiritual freedom, right? Which is my
Yeah.
emotional freedom as well. And yeah, I think that's where it's all about. Like we're spiritual freedom. Everything is.
I, I think that's so interesting because when I was about, let's see, be 20 years ago, when I was 42, I had a wife and a young child, and I started my coaching practice independent from the consulting firm that I had been part of building. And I was starting from scratch. And I had FUDs, fears, uncertainties, doubts, suspicions. And, could I coach someone? Did it, was what I had to offer, was this program going to be the right program for them? How do I come across as authentic and not salesy? I had a lot of FUDs, and it took, as I think about it, I didn't track my days, but I remember like 2 out of 5 days, I would be confident and think like, I'm really going to be able to conquer this. I'm going to be successful in this business. But then there would be like 3 days where I was like, whoa, I don't know, man. I'm just swimming, treading water. Like I feel like I'm drowning almost. And gradually over time, it became like, hey, 3 out of the 5 days are good. Hey, 4 out of the 5 days. Hey, hey, 7 days a week. Like the week is really good. And yeah, there are always setbacks and things that happen in life, and there are periods and seasons and what reasons, whatever. But like that was something that took a long time to shift for me. I remember I had that classic Monday, like, oh God, going back to work, oh, Friday, yeah, let's go. It's the weekend. Um, this is a lot of thing that this is something that's very common for a lot of people who are uh, in a working world. And being able to conquer your emotions and your mindset and manage all that, super
Self
powerful.
mastery. Yeah,
Absolutely. Yep.
absolutely, man. Yeah.
Yep.
So how did that happen for you? Like, was there a shift or anything?
I think, look, I was coaching others and I was taking people through a coaching program in a group, and I was doing the exercises while I was coaching them. So I was
Yeah.
I was working the work while they were working it. And I think gradually it just became more confident. And I had periods where I was like, wow, like business is really good. And look, I was not trying to build a business. I was trying to build a lifestyle that worked for me. So I was still trying to figure out like, so, how much is enough and what am I really trying to develop
Do
here?
yeah. Okay.
And and I think I built something that really works well for me. It allows me to travel, gives me a really great income. It allows me to work with the clients that I want to work with and go where I want to go. And so, I
Nice.
love what I do.
Awesome. So the last question, man, is measure. What do you think about measuring and tracking?
Mm. Super important. Like I keep a scorecard for myself and my business, and I'm not as disciplined at this point in time, to be honest, about filling it out. But I don't let any of my clients not keep a scorecard,
Yeah.
and I don't let any of my team coaching clients that I'm working with not have a scorecard, which is why I have a software partner right now that is Traction Tools.
Okay,
It has a
cool.
scorecard in it. It allows people to run meetings and hold people accountable. It's a place for tracking your priorities and your one-page business plan, and you could do your people analyzer within it. So it accomplishes most of what's in my book, and it's compliant with the EOS, Entrepreneurial Operating System. Scorecard is such a crucial part of it. The problem is, and the reason why I think most people need folks like myself, is they don't have the right measures in there. And so having the right KPIs that you're measuring, having more leading indicators than lagging indicators, stuff that, in other words, is activity based as opposed to outcome based. Like
Okay.
you can control your activities, but you can't control the outcomes.
Yeah.
So really important to have a scorecard and measures.
Nice. Awesome. So man, I've enjoyed this. I'm going to, well, like I said, I already got on all of your tools, and I'm gonna definitely
Thank
get
you.
your book.
Thank you.
And you have a lot of stuff that has, that is aligned with what I've been learning. And, you seem to have it very packaged in a really nice way that you can follow. So, if like me, we come across other people that are interested in your stuff, where can they find you and go to, get more of you?
Yeah. So I'm on LinkedIn. I'm all over LinkedIn, but the best place is to go to my website and connect with me.
Got
You
it.
want to schedule, I offer usually 30, 45-minute complimentary consultation. Look, I don't take on a lot of clients. I have a boutique practice. You'll know if I'm a fit based on my personality, based on what I know, based on the tools I have, based on my availability and our connection. But go to my website, thegoldhillgroup.com.
Got it. Done. Awesome.
Goldhillgroup.com. So
Well, Jonathan, thank you very much for being here and sharing some wisdom. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you later, man.
thanks, Alex. Appreciate it. Bless you.
Oh, bye-bye. Thank you for watching the Gentleman Success, Happiness, and Fulfillment Talk podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, share it with one friend, leave us a comment, and let us know. 99% of people never leave a review or comment, but we love and are very thankful with the 1% of you who do. If there's something or someone you want to see on this podcast, send me a message on Instagram at Alex_Ramirez1020 and let me know. As a thank you for that, I have an amazing surprise for each and every one of you who does take the time to leave us a comment or review on YouTube or one of the major podcasting platforms